Hi, everyone. Good. I guess it's still morning. Good morning. My name is Jocelyn Sterenchuk. I am your moderator for today's panel on I Wish Someone Had Told Me. Kind of a last minute switch up. I'm going to introduce myself so we're not doing a little mic jockeying as we go along, but I'm the Director of Economic Development for CAN-DO. CAN-DO is a certified economic development organization based out of the Hazleton area. I know we have a ton of people from the Hazleton Area School District watching us online, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm really excited to moderate today's panel. I promise not to talk too much about me or bring it back to myself, but this is something that I talk to high school students about a lot. I wish somebody had told me. I wish I knew that life was going to take twists and turns. And so I encourage you all to ask questions. I want this to be as open of a discussion as it can be. Don't worry, I have backup questions if needed. But I am here to facilitate today's panel. And with me, I have three esteemed colleagues that I'm so excited to get to know a little bit more about. Don did hand me your bios as I stood up here, but nobody talks about themselves, or nobody talks about you better than you talk about yourself. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Maybe just give a quick, 1 minute introduction, your elevator pitch of who you are, and we'll get started from there. We'll start with Tobi.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Tobi. I have an actually longer first name, but I go by Tobi. My first name is Tobi Loba. If you want to know what that means, you could just meet me after. I am an economics student at Alvernia University, and I'm minoring in data science. I am a student entrepreneur, and I'm working with the Big Center at my university to develop. I came up with an idea for an app for young professionals like myself and you, for students, just to help us with time management and scheduling. The name of the app is called Edumero, and that's what, in this process, this entire process has brought me to where I can offer some advice to you. So that's all about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. Next, we have Camaryn Lokuta from Cole Creative. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Camaryn Lokuta. Is this working? Can you hear me? Okay.
Technical difficulties.
Thank you very much.
1 second.
One moment.
Try it again.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, perfect. My name is Camaryn Lokuta, and I'm the managing director at Cole Creative. Cole Creative is a creative agency here in downtown Wilkes-Barre. We specialize in video production, social media management, website design and development, consulting, strategy, all of the things that fall under those umbrellas. I'm a graduate of Penn State University. I have my bachelor's in marketing. I have been in the workforce now for about 3.5 years, and I've learned a lot in a short amount of time, and I'm sure that there's a lot more to learn, but I hope that I can impart some of my wisdom, and I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Am I gonna need that? We'll try it.
Okay, and up next, we have Jay Sensi.
We'll try it with help. Can you guys hear me? Yes? No? Yes? Put that. Hi, everyone. My name is Jay Sensi. I am an NEPA native. I grew up in Music. I am a founder and CEO of a company called Campus Kaizen. Campus Kaizen is headquartered in Scranton. We're a software development firm focused on products for education. We've got a few different software products that we serve both the K through 12 and the higher education verticals.
Awesome. So you can see we've got a great range of professionals for you all to hear from. We've got a young professional with some great work experience also pursuing her education. We've got a young professional just a few years in the workforce and a little bit more of a senior young professional.
You're not going to call me young?
I say young professional. Look, I don't know. I am starting to age myself out of the young professional category, so if I think you're around my age, I get a little nervous. So I'm going to start this off with a fun question that I like to ask people, and don't put too much thought into it. Give the audience your authentic answer. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Let the ladies go first. Go ahead.
So I'm going to start. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So any everything remotely. So I'm a very big advocate for equity as opposed to equality. I think that people should get resources that they need at the level that they're at, not necessarily what everybody gets. So I wanted to be a lawyer for that. Anytime I see someone that I think is being cheated or not fairly represented, that gets me going. So it has translated differently now, but yes, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Awesome. What about you, Cameron?
When I done doing this again?
Yeah.
Okay. When I first went to college, I was so adamant that I wanted to be something in the healthcare field because I knew I wanted to help people. And to me, when I was in, I guess, middle school and high school, that felt like the only avenue to do so. And then I went to college and I started as a kinesiology major, which is like mostly that's biology. And I would come home crying to my mom every single day and talk about how much I hated it, and I stuck it out until I was a sophomore. And then my sophomore year going into junior year of college, I was in a really low place with it. I had so much anxiety going back to school. And anybody that knows me, I am incredibly type A. I plan everything out. I think of every single possibility. But completely unlike myself, I had coffee with a friend and she encouraged me to change my major to marketing. I went home that hour, changed my major online, and never looked back. And I'm so glad that I didn't because it's something that I really love, and I don't cry every day now. So I'm really happy that I listened to my mom.
For me, when I was a kid, I wasn't quite sure. I think I always knew I wanted to build something. I was big into Legos and things when I was a kid, so I knew I wanted to create something. In my early teens, I felt that was going to be computers and hardware, and so I went to school for electrical engineering at the University of Scranton, got into a few different fields with the Department of Defense, in terms of engineering products and weapons for the military, but always knew kind of in the back of my mind that I wanted to try my own venture, be my own boss, and that's kind of how I ended up making the leap into software, which quite frankly I never thought would be a field that I would get into.
So thank you, Jay. Quick show of hands for those of you that are in the room. How many of you know exactly what you want to go on to do in life? Right? Yeah. Good luck. I hope that you do, genuinely. I really do. But the reason I ask that question is maybe with the exception of Jay, your life is not linear. Your life is going to take twists and turns, and the way that you get where you actually wind up, I promise, will not look the way you thought it was going to. And so I think when we have a panel of young professionals and these established members of our community that have these success stories to tell you, I want to make sure that you keep in the back of your mind that at some point in their life, they I'm sure, felt like, oh no, this was not the right choice, as Camaryn alluded to. It might have been when you go to college and you decide to change your major. It might have been after entering the workforce and deciding to go back to school, or starting a business because you want to do something better. I think that it's a strong tell that I want you guys to keep in mind as you're going through this. So that said, any thoughts of what I just said? Because it's a truth. I think it's the truth for me, and it sounds like it's the truth for you guys. Yeah.
How you start doesn't have to be how you finish.
Amen. Go ahead, Camaryn. I see you.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to say that I think that was like one of the talking points that I thought about coming here today was everybody, when I was in high school, when I was in college, and I would see people in the out there working, I would think, oh my God, they have it all figured out. And I'm over here and I don't know what's going on. And then I got into the workforce, and the truth is, I think even the most seasoned professionals still don't have it all figured out. And that was so much pressure that I put on myself, was to figure it all out before I had graduated. And it was so unnecessary and caused me so much distress. And I think that any professional that you would ask will tell you that they don't have it all figured out, and they're still continuing to figure it out as they go.
You know, Cameron, there's a funny story that I actually tell myself often about Holly Pilkavich, the CEO of Cole Creative, where Cameron, where she works. Holly and I started professional journeys in kind of the Wilkes-Barre area, northeastern Pennsylvania, around the same time as one another, and we had gotten to know each other very well. I think just being the new kids on the block. And I had a call with her one day, and I had just had a really rough day. And she said, you know, how are you? Sound down. And I said, I am. I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm expected to know all of these things. And she was like, oh God, me too. And I just remember thinking, oh, so nobody really has it figured out. Imposter syndrome, I think, is what they call that. So Tobi, I'm gonna toss that over to you. Tell me, or tell the group a little bit about a time where imposter syndrome might have gotten you down. And she answers right away. We all have this. We have this moment.
Yes. So it's an ongoing thing. It's every single new opportunity. You always feel that way, but. Because I moved to the United States as a teenager as well, so I started at a community college. I was in college in Nigeria and was an excellent student in Nigeria, but I quickly got here and figured out, oh, the writing style is different. So maybe my papers do not get graded the way I thought they would be. And I'm also a type A, but kind of a lenient type A. So I would plan out, okay, what do I need to get an A on this paper? I just have to have an A plus. An A minus is good, but it's like my last option. So when I got to the United States, I had to learn how to write as an American. I had to learn how to communicate my thoughts, speak in as well. So that's the first time that I would say I had that. I also got my first job, and it was a new concept to me, because I'm not sure of how people figure all of this out, and they do this by hand. And that was another experience. Getting into college at Alvernia, an economics major, that was another stage in my life where I thought, okay. But I would say there are multiple stages, but one thing I learned through all of it is to have a growth mindset. So it's not, I think Adam Grant said that, he's an organizational psychologist, is saying that imposter syndrome is, I don't know what I'm doing, and they're gonna figure it out. But a growth mindset would say, I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I will figure it out. So that's kind of where I got to.
Absolutely. We are doing kind of a linear line here, but if at any point you guys want to switch the order, feel free. But go ahead, Camaryn.
For me, I think that imposter syndrome, it's definitely prevalent in my daily life, and I think another thing that I thought a lot about when I was coming here was I struggle a lot with my age, and not because I want to be older for any other reason other than there's this perception in the workforce that your age is equal to your value, and so you have to work a certain amount of years or be here a certain amount of years to have the experience to be taken seriously. And something that I talk a lot about is how I'm constantly mistaken for the intern. And it's now the joke at Full Creative that I'm the intern in the room. And there's nothing wrong with being the intern, I want that to be very clear, but a lot of people, especially more experienced people that are in the room, just see me walk in and think, oh, she must be here to observe or to take notes or go get us coffee or something like that. And then I come into the room and I sit at the table, and oftentimes I get the feedback at the end that, oh, I did think you were the intern and you added so much value to this conversation. And I really hope that I could help change those perceptions, that just because even if you are the intern in the room, you still add value. And I think that there's a lot of work to be done, but that certainly adds to my imposter syndrome when I'm thinking, who am I? Why am I here? When people ask me to sit on committees or boards or even speak today, I think, well, what do I have to say? Don said it best at the beginning, he said you are here for a reason. And I would say that to all of you. Whenever you are in the room, whenever you have a seat at the table, whenever you are given an opportunity, it is for a reason, and never question it. And I think that if you can constantly just remind yourself of that, it can help alleviate some of that imposter syndrome.
Absolutely. I think there's also a a factor of your petiteness as well. So one time I went out on I do industrial real estate, and I went out on a prospect call with one of my staff members who was literally a week on the job. And when the broker and the CEO of the other company got there, he goes right up to my staff member, shakes his hand and says, nice to meet you, I'm so-and-so CEO. And he just goes, she's my boss. You want to talk to her. And I think that a lot of it is being petite females in those workforce roles can certainly add a challenge as well. So it was a great message for sure. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I think when you're starting something new or you're getting into a new industry, it's very easy to feel like you don't belong there. But I'm also a firm believer that faking it till you make it is a real thing.
Yes.
And it works. I could think of a lot of times early on where I was doing everything other than writing code, and so a lot of potential clients were nervous about doing business with really a one-man show. And so I would actually make different emails for support and sales and other things to try to make myself look bigger so that people would trust to buy from a company that they didn't think if this guy gets hit by a bus, we're toast. But I think there's been lots of times over the last 10 years of growing a software company that you have to be ready to do things before you're ready. And I kind of call it building the plane as you're flying, right? If you wait until the plane's ready, you're going to be waiting a long time and you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. So I've always taken an approach, and this is something I think I wish somebody told me a long time ago, is that it's okay to build the plane while you fly, as long as when it's time to fly, the plane flies. I can think of a lot of sales scenarios where I was talking with a prospect, and they would ask, can the software do X, Y, or Z? And it couldn't at that moment. But I knew that by the time they were ready to use it, I could make it do that. So that to me is kind of being ready to do something before it's actually ready. So yeah, okay, maybe I said yes at a time that it wasn't entirely true, but but we delivered. By the time the client came and used the system, they wouldn't have known the difference, right? So I think being confident enough in what you can do and what your abilities are to be ready before you're ready, I think is a really powerful thing.
I have so many comments. I'll stick to one, but I love we're going to build the plane while it's flying, while we're flying it. We have a little bit of a motto at our organization where we kind of just throw you into the deep end, and we'll never let you drown. We'll throw the life vest when we need it, but you kind of gotta learn to swim too. So it's similar in a sense. This is off the cuff, so I apologize if it's not fully well formed. But I want to, I hear, especially from Jay, a lot of entrepreneurial thought processes, and I just went out and I did it, and I knew I needed to do it this way, and I'm going to change it, and I knew I can make it work. And I think Tobi a little more muted, but the entrepreneurial mindset there too. I want to turn this question over to Camaryn, who works within a company with an entrepreneurial mindset, which is a term that we call intrapreneurial, meaning you take these entrepreneurial concepts and key concepts and you turn them inside and you do something great for your company. How does that resonate for you in what you do at Cole Creative?
Yeah, I think Cole Creative has a culture that allows for a lot of freedom and flexibility, and we're always open to thoughts. I remember literally 2 weeks into me being there, I sat down across from our CEO, Holly Cabbage, and outlined all of the things that I thought we should do differently. And she was so receptive to it, and thank God I'm still sitting here today. So Cole Creative, a little bit of a backstory. Cole Creative was started by an individual who is no longer in the day-to-day operations. He's still involved, but Holly, as the CEO and now a part owner, she always describes herself as an entrepreneur, and I've learned a lot from her. So I think it's just having the culture to allow for the entrepreneurial style to seep in, because I think it keeps things fresh, it keeps things relevant to what's going on in the world. I was just talking to Tobi before about AI, and we're talking about how that changes, a company, especially in marketing. And I think that allowing that spirit to come from anybody at any position in the company is incredibly important to keep things fresh and keep things, relevant.
Absolutely. Great response. I want to take everybody out for coffee when we're done. Tobi, in your experience with school, maybe, not necessarily with the business that you're building, but maybe some of those, those environments where you've been in the workforce or even educationally, can you talk a little bit about how you've used those entrepreneurial concepts?
Okay, yes. So I am very passionate about innovation. So as an economics major, you learn very quickly how scarce resources are, and time is the biggest part of that. So I worked at Amazon for 5 years, and that was the first thing that I looked at. So how do we, of course, Amazon is a very big company, and it can sound outlandish to think that there are things that they're doing that could be that could be less costly from the perspective. So the first thing I do every time is figure out how can I add value and learn the system really well. So after learning the system, I can come up with, okay, is there a better way to figure this out or get this thing done with less time and less money? And that's where I shine the most. So finding new ways to make things to get the same result, but more efficient and less expensive. I really enjoy that. So at Amazon, I came up with a system where we had a lot of associates that were bilingual and would not get their trainings in the language that they preferred. So I came up with a system that would allow them to do that and have people that spoke their language actually tutor them. So those are the things that I look for in every scenario or place that I found myself. And that also led to what I'm working on right now as a student.
Jay, I'm going to skip you for a second. We can always come back to it. But what you just said, Tobi, it really, I am very type A and very disorganized, which sounds weird as a type A person, right? So I'm type A as in I'm a perfectionist, but I'm awful with my time. I'm neurodivergent. I certainly need a little bit of help in those ways. So I don't know that I've ever spoken with an entrepreneur so closely that created something or is creating something that is so closely tied to the things that you seek out as an individual. I've heard you mention processes and making sure things are flowing the right way and most efficient and more accessible. And to create something like your app, the program that you're putting together now, it's inspiring. So I just wanted to take a moment to say that. I'm going to pivot the conversation a little because we are getting a little short on time. And I'm going to turn this back over to Jay, kind of flip over. What are ways, hearing what I just said about Tobi, what are some ways that maybe life was linear for you? So we talked about kind of those twists and turns. What are some ways that you look back now and you're like, oh no, I should have absolutely been doing what I do?
Yeah, I think it was probably a few years into developing our first software product that I really felt that, okay, this is the way things are supposed to work. I think a lot of founders think that they're going to create something and everybody's just going to want it out of the gates, and everybody's just going to show up with cash in hand and want to buy it because I thought or you thought it was a great idea. And for a number of years, that wasn't the case. In fact, it took me a few years to actually get somebody to give me money for a product. But after that is when I really started to feel like maybe I was onto something. The first couple clients that would actually pay for the product, give good feedback, and help actually become a word of mouth reference to other clients was really the first time I felt like maybe I was onto something. And things started to happen in the way that I had planned, at least initially.
Great. What about you, Camaryn? Rephrase question. Yeah.
so much of your career is like parts of it can be linear and then it kind of drops off and then it picks back up. So I think my journey at co-creative I feel like is probably the easiest response to what's been linear for me. I started off at my job with no title, which sounds really crazy, but I didn't apply to work for Co-Creative. I was very fortunate to be recommended for a position. And I remember sitting across from Holly, and she just said, I know that I need somebody, and I feel like you are that somebody, but I don't know what exactly that means. And so she pretty much asked me to come without a title, and I joyfully accepted because I, it's just a new job. But I'm so happy that I did, and it's been a very linear journey thus far, with turns and curves along the way, but for the most part, yeah.
I'll give Tobi a chance to respond to my assumption of her as a human, but if you want to answer the same question as well.
Well, I mean, moving to another country is already a very slopey area. However, I will also say that just going through it with a learning experience, like taking that as a priority, that, okay, I'm learning through this, that's kind of where you get it. So I started at my community college as a criminal justice major because I wanted to study law. And then I was like, okay, I probably do not want to be a cop if this doesn't pan out. So I changed my major to social science, and then went into Alvernia as an economics major, then added a minor in data science. So yeah, and now I'm an entrepreneur. So it's very slopey. We heard earlier today, we saw the chart of a heartbeat. Just see it that way, and that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's a great way to tie in the day. Last question planned. I can fill in if needed. And then I would like to turn it over. I'm giving you guys a 2-minute warning. I want some questions, so start thinking of them now. Using the title of today's panel, I wish somebody had told me X. We'll turn it back over to Jay.
Oh, let's see. If you're going to start a business, do it before you have kids. It's a lot harder once you have a family, trust me. If I could have started 10 years prior, there's no right time. But if you can, start it before you have kids.
Camaryn.
I think I've sprinkled a little bit here and there, but something else that I wanted to kind of hit home. When you are in college, I think there's a lot of emphasis on coming out of college and getting a job, which is incredibly important. And it's not only coming out of college and getting a job, but it's getting a high-paying job, which I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that money is nothing and you should just do what you love. Money is of course important and it is something, but it is not everything. And things like working for a company or an organization that care about you and your well-being and don't make you go home and cry every day, and things like that is worth something. And never forget that, because I have some friends that left college and got very high-paying jobs, and they are very unhappy. And that's not always the case, but I always recommend for people to look at what they're offering you, and it's not just a salary. It's, are you getting health care? Are you getting a fair time off? Do they encourage you to take time off just because you need a mental health day? I think all of these things are important, and they are worth something.
Great answer. Closing up with you, Tobi.
Okay, so many great answers already. I would say from my perspective here, two things actually that I find most valuable, I wish someone told me, is my curiosity is valuable, and it's going to take me further. A story that a mentor of mine told me was, you have two people, you send them to get milk. The first person says okay, the second person says, if I don't find milk, what else should I get? And I mean, you can already guess who's most likely going to be successful in that errand. So curiosity is important. And secondly, is your personality. Your personality should not determine how you relate with people. You need to connect. So those are the two things that I learned.
Great advice. You guys all taught me something to take home too. So, okay, you guys had your 2-minute warning. Let's open it up to some questions.
My first question is for the moderator.
Great.
I wish someone told me what's your answer.
I didn't prepare for that. I wish someone had told me. I mean, we kind of talked about it. I wish someone had told me that literally nobody knows what they're doing. Even the most successful of people who might understand the concept, the competencies, the science, behind what they do, they're still faking it until they make it. I mean, they are still just trying to figure it out the same way the intern or the person with 2 years of experience or the new manager, we're all just trying to get through this thing called life. So, yeah.
Analysts, I wish someone told me it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
It's not a weakness, it's a strength.
Mm-hmm.
I wish someone told me to ask for help. Jamie.
Thank you, that was great, Alvernia. My question is for Jay. Jay, I felt like when you were talking about the airplane scenario that you were talking straight towards me. Do you fear when you have your vision in your head for your company and what you want, but do you fear that it's going to fail once you put it on paper?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And maybe that's just part of my personality trait, is that I was brought up in such a way that, I was instilled in me that I could do anything. And I've always just lived with that if I worked hard enough, if I was creative enough, that I can make whatever I want happen. So for me, if I'm gonna do something, I'm not gonna bother doing it if I don't think I can make it work. So I think it's just having the confidence and the preparation to know that nothing's guaranteed, but that you've done everything you possibly could to make it work, and you're not going to leave anything on the table. Again, there's no guarantee anything is going to work, but if you do everything that you possibly can, there will never be a point in time where, whether it works or not, you could come back and say, if I spent a little more time on this, if I tried something differently, if I worked a little harder, leave no doubts.
I want to add to that, just because there was a nuance of your question about putting it on paper. There is science, right? There is science about writing it down. There's science about putting the thought on a sticky note and putting it. We have idea boards in our office where people will be talking, we'll be having a staff meeting, and I just say, write it down, put it on the idea board, because we might do it in 6 years, right? So there's some science behind that. Okay. Any other questions?
Hi everyone, fantastic panel. I have chills from all the inspirational things that you've spoken about today. I've heard each of you talk a little bit about some important people in your life that have maybe mentored you, but I wanted to ask, how important was mentorship and networking for your personal and professional development?
You guys have at it.
You want me to start? I think network is immensely valuable. For me, where it really became beneficial is that, I went into an industry where I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody that had done anything similar, and quite frankly, I didn't even know how to find a mentor that could even relate to something that I was doing. But I actually made a lot of friends and mentors in the industry at conferences that were other vendors selling not necessarily similar products, but products in a similar vertical that were kind enough to show me the way, teach me what an RFP was and how to create security documents that I never would have figured out a way to do otherwise had somebody not paved the path for me. So I think for me, networking has helped tremendously, or at least saved me probably 2 or 3 years of time. Maybe I would have figured it out at some point, but they helped grease the path a little bit in terms of getting to where I wanted to be.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I don't think anybody, I'm working in operational administrative things, and so I don't think anything that I'm doing is necessarily reinventing the wheel. And so for me, having mentors that are both within my company, within my industry, and even outside allows me to get their thoughts, how they would handle it. It doesn't mean that I necessarily do exactly what they say, but I take bits and pieces from it, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just kind of take what they're saying and adapt it to what you think would work for you and your organization. So yeah, mentorship for me is, I have a mentor that I meet with once a month, and it's my favorite meeting of the month, and I learn so much in an hour span.
For me, I would say very important, as many as you can. First portion of that would be exactly what they just said. They do help you get through this process. So for me, I started this as a project because I wanted to add value to my school. So I thought that would be a great way, just as a project, and just hand it over to my school, and they go, no, this could be a business, and we're gonna help you through it. So that's how I ended up being a student entrepreneur, and I had the opportunity of being here again with Michelle Conway. She's sitting here today. She recommended me for this panel. So I think it's very important to have mentors in and outside of your network. Just like she said, they kind of are your system to fail forward. So when you are in the room where the questions you ask are very important, you can ask the right one. So, yeah.
I honestly believe we could really keep this going all day. And you just said fail forward. That's a whole concept I'd love to talk about, but they are going to kick us off. So thank you so much for being here. Do we have one more? One more. Okay. We have time for one more.
Tell us about the importance of building a support system, whether it's someone or a group of people to run ideas past, or support you in self-care, or just cheer you along on your journey.
Want to start?
I think it ties into the mentorship question. So having that network, I think if you are having a day where imposter syndrome is incredibly, prevalent in your day, I think having somebody to bring you back down to reality. I specifically remember this one day at work. It was insane, and I was so overwhelmed, nearly on the verge of tears. And my boss, Holly, pulled me into her office, and she said, "Camaryn, this is marketing. We are not saving people's lives. So having that support system to really bring you back down to reality when you could be in a really high place, I think is very important. And also, none of us have all the answers, and I think that when you are a person, or even translate that to an organization where you can take all of the ideas in the room and all of the experiences, the shared lived experiences that we all have, that's how you are successful. We all don't know everything, but together we can all figure it out.
In addition to that, like she just said, I would say not just grounding you, they could also, especially for an entrepreneur, they could be a way of refining your ideas. So they can give you critical feedback on, okay, I think this already exists. Is there a different way to present this for a different market? So that's one way, like the support system would help you refine your ideas, make you a better business owner, and also in terms of resting, I remember I had a terrible pitch one day that the person I was presenting to just pretty much told me, yeah, that sucked. And the person I was working with called me and said, hey, that's okay. We're gonna work with you on this. And they pretty much took over and started helping me refine that idea, make it better. They took notes. Hey, what do you think about this? Got my feedback. So they're kind of your fallback too in cases like that. Absolutely.
Closing it up with Jay.
Yeah, okay. I think support is immensely powerful, both from a personal level, family, friends, as well as from a business level as well. Like I mentioned earlier, with our first software product, it took me almost 2 years to get a client. And I remember saying to myself and others around me at probably the year 1.5 mark that nobody wants to buy this thing. I can't sell this. But others, bring to the table new ideas that maybe you haven't thought of. In fact, a mentor of mine said, why don't you try giving it away? Give it away to a couple schools and get some feedback. And that was the beginning of the snowball. I never wanted to give it away because I invested a lot of money and I needed some money back. But sometimes that support system not only lifts you up in terms of your spirits, but also brings new ideas to the table that help you think a little bit outside of the box.
Sion. Thank you, everybody, for having us. I'm going to
Stay
turn
right
it.
here.
I'm staying here.
Stay right here.
Okay. Turn it over to Don.
So TechBridge can't do this without the help of great speakers, great partners. And so please, one, allow me to say thank you to Posture Interactive, who's been doing all the filming and all the mic work, because they're our go-to and they make this easy. And there will be videos of all the presentations today. We also can't do this without the benefit of a super partner at King's College. And so please allow me to have Michelle Landon come up. She's the Director of Undergraduate Admissions, and she's going to close this out. She's also going to tell you what this year's Big Idea Essay Contest is for all the high school students. So Michelle, come on up.
Thank you so much to Don and for everybody in this room, everybody joining us virtually. My name is Michelle Landon. I am the Director of Undergraduate Admission, and it is our honor to be chosen to be a host site from year to year. When I think of this program and when we work to prepare for it, largely thank you to Don and his team for doing it. I think of relationships and mentorship, and I'm so glad you had that opportunity today to meet somebody or hear something that could impact your future. We can't do it alone, so I'm very grateful for that. I also have a lot of fun information. I know I stand between you and lunch for the people in the room, virtual people. I hope you're getting lunch as well. But so I don't want to stand between you, but I do want to tell you a few important things. As a partner with this program, we do offer students attending King's College that have also attended this program and do the essay competition, $1,000 additional dollars towards your King's College education, renewable each year for up to 4 years. We've had so many students attend King's from this program because of this opportunity. It's an extra opportunity, and it's guaranteed if you do the essay. So many times you're applying to private scholarships and you don't know if you're going to get them. Here we're saying you are going to get them. You have to apply to King's. It's free. You hit the apply button on kings.edu. You have to send us your transcript. Apply for financial aid, which you're going to do anyway, right? Apply for financial aid through the FAFSA, fafsa.gov. And now I'm about to announce your essay question, so now you know what to do. Once you get your financial aid results, I want you to know you're going to see that $1,000 on your financial aid report from King's. My name is Michelle Landon, and if you have any questions, you come to me about it. Remember, you have to attend King's to ultimately receive the benefit. So without further delay, our 2024 TechBridge Big Idea Essay Competition question is, what can space entrepreneurship mean for our community? So we have to tackle new frontiers and world mysteries as a mankind, right? As a group. And there is a new frontier that's coming to NEPA, and that's space entrepreneurship. So we're going to have you tackle that topic. It is to be successful in northeastern Pennsylvania, and then what creative new activities, classes, and programs do you recommend for K-12 students of your district in order to learn more about space and obtain hands-on experience with the skills and jobs that they will be needed to support this workforce? You can cite all of your references, including AI platforms. And so again, the question is, what can space entrepreneurship mean for our community? And then what activities can we put into the school districts, K through 12? That's what you're going to be writing about for $1,000 to King's. I hope you participate. I hope you do it. And I hope you desire to learn more about the McGowan School of Business. I'm a McGowan School of Business graduate. We do host entrepreneurship as a concentration in our management program, so you will graduate then with a degree that says management/entrepreneurship. So we do have that focus in our management major, and I do recommend looking into it. It's not unheard of to double major. So you can choose more than one thing, such as management, entrepreneurship, as well as marketing, accounting. We really look forward to teaching you more, being a positive part of your relationships. And remember to fill your storyboards here with feedback. I thought this was really wonderful that we did this because it allows us to share what we thought about our speakers, our programs, and the program itself without having to maybe necessarily voice it, right? Get up here behind the podium, but you can tell what you thought about it. And imagine what that would mean to the speakers and the mentors that you met today, right? That you had a chance to hear from. They came a long way. They took time away from their responsibilities today to be here. So write on that Post-it, even if it's a few words, stick it right onto their platform, whatever their topic was, and give them some encouragement and feedback so then they could be good to you. Again, all right, so I know I'm standing between you and lunch and I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is let you know that lunch is complimentary today, and it is below us, the floor below us. So what I'm going to do is let you know that we have reserved seating. So once you get into our facility, we do have King's representative, senior associate Eric Grego, who is going to be guiding you down. We have reserved seating. You put your stuff down and you go and help yourself. There are restrooms. There's everything you need down there. It's walking taco day as well. I do want to release the side of the room that is closest to the doors first, so please feel free to go down and enjoy lunch.